What is up, Sound Peeps? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at a Dr. Phil clip of a woman who claims to have been pregnant for approximately 3 years. It's wild, so let's get into it. Before we start, I will state that false pregnancies are absolutely a thing. It is a syndrome or condition called pseudocyesis, which in other words is phantom pregnancy. And basically a woman who suffers from pseudocyesis will experience all the symptoms of pregnancy and can even gain weight and appear pregnant. And they just have everything that is required for a pregnancy except for the actual presence of a fetus. So it can be very traumatizing for women who go through that. I haven't watched the video yet, but I assume that this is no different. Okay, so let's get started.
I've been pregnant approximately 3 years, 7 months. At age 20, I had my tubes tied, so I would not have children anymore. I actually got pregnant at 40. I was extremely shocked. I'm still in shock. My belly has continued to grow for the 3.5 years, but it does grow at super low rates. My breasts are tender. My mood swings are super bad. I could be crying 1 minute, happy the next. When I go to a doctor, they take a pregnancy test. Of course, it does not show up on either blood or urine. They have also given me ultrasounds. They tell me all of negative. The doctors are wrong.
Okay, so like I was saying, she does have all the symptoms of pregnancy, and the only things that don't show up, which will confirm an actual pregnancy, are the pregnancy tests and the ultrasounds. And I imagine that is extremely hard for someone who feels that they're pregnant, and you know, people who know their bodies and they just can't get over that denial that they are not in fact pregnant. But for her to say that the doctors are wrong flat out,
I don't care what medical degree they have. I am 1000% certain that I am pregnant. The movement in my stomach is what I'm saying is.
So the one thing I will note is that she believes that she's pregnant and she has a cigarette in her hand. Of course, a lot of women who do smoke and have smoked prior to their pregnancy, at times doctors will advise them to keep smoking because just the quitting cold turkey can actually be more harmful to the fetus and to the mother than it would be still smoking. Not sure if that's in her case, if that's the case, but pretty dangerous considering, you're right.
I think I'm carrying 6 babies. I could not believe how many heartbeats I'm getting in my belly.
6 babies, you guys. 6 babies. Okay. I've never been pregnant, but I have never heard of an instance where a mother can actually feel the heartbeat in her of her fetus. Obviously there's Dopplers and there's ultrasounds and a whole lot of ways that people themselves will purchase for home. There are at-home Dopplers that you can purchase where you can hear the heartbeat. As to be able to say that you can actually hear the heartbeat just within you, I don't think that's a thing. And 6 babies? If you're having 6 babies, your belly is not growing at a slow rate, which she has said. I don't want to save it all for the end, but this is crazy already.
It is the most overwhelming thing that anyone can go through, especially if their tubes are tied. My family does not believe I'm pregnant. It has torn my family apart. This is the hardest thing I've ever experienced in my life. It's real and it's misery. I am sick and tired of being pregnant. I just want them out. I'm done with this. I'm done with pregnancy.
So one thing that this kind of reminded me of, but it's not the same thing. I know that she doesn't actually think that. I'm just thinking about how she said that she was pregnant with 6 kids, allegedly, and that she's been pregnant for 3 years and 7 months. And it reminded me of a post of someone who actually thought if they were having triplets that they were going to be pregnant for 27 months. She assumed that it was 9 months each child, and it's like, no, it's a full term before the 3 babies. And it just reminded me of that. My mind, I'm sorry guys, it's just, yeah.
I don't want it anymore, I'm done.
Okay, now, would you agree that this is unusual?
This is very unusual,
Okay.
very unusual.
I have to say, I'm the most non-judgmental, open-minded person I've ever met. You know, maybe not, but I really approach every situation like, you know, hell, anything's possible.
Right.
Are you approaching this conversation with the possibility that you could be wrong?
1000% I know I'm pregnant.
Well, there's really nothing for us to talk about then.
Okay.
right? Because I mean, you don't even entertain an alternative explanation.
Well, there's
That is actually facts, and I do experience this with people, not trying to go off on a tangent here, with people who don't believe in God or don't believe that, anything in the Bible is true. It's like, why would you want to have a discussion with me when you know I'm going to be using the Bible to base off my, I don't want to say argument, more like my side. And it's like, well, if you don't believe anything in the Bible is wrong, then we really don't have anything to talk about, because you're not willing to change your mind and I'm not willing to change mine. So there's really no point in trying to discuss something when at the end point of it, your mentality is going to stay the same.
I could have a tumor or something going on with me that I don't know about.
Right, that's what I mean. That's
it is
a possibility.
Very possible. I don't know exactly what's going on.
And I'm not asking you to abandon your belief.
No.
You completely, totally believe that you're pregnant.
I do.
And you have a lot of reasons to believe you're pregnant. You say that your breasts have been tender, your belly, you certainly look. I mean, I wouldn't walk up and say you look pregnant. On the street, I might get slapped if you weren't. But your belly moves, you say?
Yes, it does. Would you like to feel it? If
no.
It moves? No.
No. You say that you have a home fetal Doppler and that you hear not just a heartbeat, but 6 heartbeats?
That is correct.
Okay, so that kind of answers my point that I brought up before about hearing it within you. I didn't realize that she actually had a home Doppler listening to 6 heartbeats, so I'm guessing that they're gonna go over that soon.
Doctor.
Yes.
But you knew you'd had your tubes tied, so did you go in there and say, what's going on?
Yes.
I can't be pregnant here.
Yeah, exactly.
And were you relieved when they said you're not?
Yeah, I was actually. I was very relieved. But then as the time goes on, like a year down the road, 6 months down the road, I still feel the tightening. And it was, as the time goes on, the tightening got more up around my ribs, so it was hard to breathe.
But you've had ultrasounds, right?
Yes, but due to the ultrasound is a 15 megahertz and on the machines, and normally the Dopplers are like 3 to 5 megahertz. So if it's a too high of a megahertz, sometimes it will not pick up.
Okay, so essentially what she's saying is correct, just not towards the point she's making. So let me try to explain all of that. It is true that the higher a frequency or the higher megahertz, as she put it, would mean that the penetration is not as deep. For example, we have different probes that have different frequencies that can see different depths. It's not the machine in whole that has 15 megahertz. It's different probes. So if you were to use a small parts probe or a linear vascular probe, those will have higher frequencies because it will not penetrate as deep. It will only see the more superficial area. So like if you were to see a vessel here, like the carotid or the jugular, you would use a linear probe to see those, or a small parts probe to see the thyroid because it's right here. Now, a curvilinear probe would be maybe 4 megahertz, I believe, would be 4 megahertz, which means it could see deeper, which means it could see like abdominal contents that are deeper within your abdomen, liver, pancreas, kidneys, bladder, uterus, which is what they would be looking at to see a baby. I don't know what she was referring to as the machine. The machine itself does not carry the frequencies. It's the probes that will emit the frequencies that will see what you need to see. Hopefully that made sense. I'm just like all over the place with this video.
This is amazing technology, and they actually look inside the uterus.
Yeah.
And it's surprisingly empty.
Exactly, but this pregnancy happens in the back. It's a retroinverted uterus, so...
Ma'am, I did mention in my previous video the different positions of the uterus. I think what she meant to say was a retroverted uterus. Maybe that is what she has. Maybe that's what they told her. So she believed that since her uterus is flexing backwards or positioned backwards, that the pregnancy will be more in the back, and that's why the ultrasound won't be able to pick up, which I mean it would regardless, but let's see what else she has to say.
The pregnancy doesn't happen up front. It's more in the back.
So one thing I will point out, and it's just my question, just a personal question, if your pregnancy is happening more in the back, then why is it coming out to the front? You know what I'm saying? Like, if that was her logic, wouldn't she question why is she growing frontwards, like more anteriorly as opposed to posteriorly, if that was true? That's just a me question. I don't know.
You've been told that you have a baby hair ultrasound.
I went in on Saturday. She gave me a quick ultrasound, And the first thing she did is like, oh, the baby has a lot of hair. And I'm like, oh, great, we see a baby. That's awesome. You know, maybe it's at the time where we could start seeing now.
Okay, so that ultrasound looks nothing. What is that? I don't see a fetal head. I don't see any brain contents. All I see is some acoustics that kind of go like this and then shadowing posterior to it. Baby hair ultrasound. Yeah, I mean, I can't really blame the tech that did this. If she went to one of those elective 3D, 4D places, a lot of the times techs there don't even have their credentials yet, or didn't go through the schooling that we went through, say, to work at a hospital. So for someone to come in and claim they're pregnant, they're not gonna ask anything of it and they're just gonna put the probe down. But still, you should be able to differentiate a baby to whatever this is. But let's see what else they say.
She's like, oh, you need to come back. I come back Monday. There's nobody there except me and her. She does the ultrasound and she says, oh, you have a medical problem. And she told me a medical problem. And then she's like, oh, here's the baby's hair. It's kind of, you know, different that we say we see hair here, but yet when I go in the second time, oh, we don't see anything.
Right, because maybe she was mistaken, the tech. Maybe that's why she wanted you to come when it was just you and her, so that she could really confirm. And I guess maybe she was just trying to be confidential about it. And I really want to know what condition it was, or medical term that she explained that she had. But I really wouldn't say that someone's having a baby when I'm looking and seeing that they're not, because then it could lead them to all this false hope or just misinformation that ends up bringing them to this point. So that was the end of this clip. I really don't know how it ends. Judging by what's going on, I do feel like she was misinformed, not just by the tech that was there who maybe tried to make it right the next time, but just in general, you know, just misinformed by her own body, making her feel like she was pregnant, especially after having a tubal. It's like, I feel like she kind of wants to have that denial that, oh, I really am pregnant, but then also at the same time, she's probably like, there's no way I can be pregnant, like she mentioned in the beginning. So I feel like it's got to be a really hard situation for her, and I do feel for her. Yep, but that's all I can say ultrasound wise. That wherever she got her information from is not 100% correct, but it does seem like she is doing her research. So we'll give her the benefit of the doubt for that. Yeah, that was all for this week's video, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.